Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm, welcoming you to our YouTube channel today, Monday, July 21st. Good to have you here. My name is Eric, attorney for 46 years, founder of Helps. Um, on this channel, if you're a senior or disabled who receives Social Security, pension, disability, or VA benefits, and you have debt that you owe that you have difficulty paying, you're going to want to listen to what we talk about today. This is really important stuff. You're going to hear things you probably are not going to hear other places. Uh, so my name's Eric. Like I said, I've been an attorney for 46 years, probably filed 30 to 40,000 bankruptcies approximately before I started Helps back in 2012. So what is Helps? Helps stand for Help Eliminate Legal Problems for Seniors. What we do is we represent seniors and disabled persons, doesn't matter what your age is, who receive protected income like Social Security under a law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. That law provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors have to leave you alone. We send what's called a cease and desist letter to the creditors or collectors you owe money to, telling them that we represent you. And under the law, they can no longer call you or send you demand letters anymore. They have to leave you alone. They have to talk to us. And when they call us, we're going to tell them that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay the debt, and that's it. Okay, now, and they're gonna leave you alone. That's what we do, and we represent our clients ongoing. It's not just one time, literally forever. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. The cost is absolutely minimal. Maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7 of our clients get our help for free. Okay, we don't want you to worry. Okay, and so listen to this today. Listen to our channel. We talk for about an hour. People will ask questions on the chat portion, and you have a question, you can put it there. And I also have things that I've written out. And I've already talked with a few people this morning on the phone, and I'll talk about their situation. But we don't want you to worry. That's the number one thing about Helps is we're here so that if you have a question, you can always call us. If you're a client, we call us whenever you need to. Okay, that's what we're here for, to explain to you why you're going to be okay and why you don't need to worry. So I'll start off with, I talked to someone earlier today from California. Person was 83 years old. They had about 1,500 in Social Security and approximately 500 in pension. And they had a free and clear mobile home that sat on land, okay, that they owned. And there was a little confusion about if her son was on, she thinks the son was on the land with her, but wasn't sure if the son was on the mobile home title. So we told her how to contact, there's a department in California to find out if the mobile home was in her son's name. And she could, if she wanted to, add her son's name to the mobile home title. The reason being so that when she passes away, the home would go to her son, who was in his 60s, without there being a probate and the need for any debt to be paid. Because technically, if there's a probate, then debt needs to be paid before your heirs get anything. But if you had some of the kids' name on the property with you, so that when you passed away, it automatically went to them, then debt wouldn't need to be paid. Just at your death, the property would automatically go to the children. Okay? She had a free and clear car. She could add the kid's name to that car too. And so, we just answered the question, told her what to do. She hadn't enrolled in Helps yet. She can, if she wants, she could stop paying the credit card debt. That's what we do. Seniors contact us, and if they're saddled with debt they can't afford to pay, they can stop paying it. And when they enroll with Helps, they give us the creditors they owe money to. All we need is the name, address, and account number. Okay, we don't need the balance. And then we're going to send cease and desist letter. They're going to leave you alone. That's what we do. We don't want you to worry. Okay. So if you got any questions, like I said, put them in the chat feature. I'll address them. And if you'll notice, there's a lot of people that talk amongst themselves on our chat, which we really don't mind. So if you have a question, put a couple question marks or something to draw my attention to it, and I can usually catch the questions when they pop up. We have kind of a community here. It helps. The seniors, and they support each other, which is kind of nice. Okay, so Jimmy asked, Eric, if you die and your daughter collects on your life insurance policy or estate, is there a payout protected from the creditors? Well, okay, if you have a life insurance policy, a life insurance policy is a contract between you and the insurance company where you pay a premium, and then at your death, the proceeds go directly to the named person who gets the money. They're called the beneficiary. So it doesn't go into your estate. So it's completely outside of your estate. So that means, Jimmy, is that when you die, the proceeds from your life insurance will go to your daughter, okay, directly. It doesn't have to be, she's not responsible for paying any of your debt with that. Okay, she doesn't have to. That's her money to use the way she wants to. It has nothing. Now, the only way there'd be a problem if the beneficiary was your estate, and that's very rarely is that the case. So if you have a life insurance policy, you want the beneficiary to be the person to whom you want the money to go, and that would be, your daughter, your son, your daughter, grandkid, whatever, the family member, whoever you want it to go to. Okay. I need to. There we go. So then I talked to someone else, and they're maybe listening to me, but it's a good example of things that happen. So whenever I talk about any of these scenarios, don't think that I'm talking specifically about you. I've been doing this long enough to know that everyone has the problems are similar. I guarantee if you have a problem, you're not alone. You don't need to feel like you're unique. You may feel like you're unique and you're the only one in the world with this specific problem, but I guarantee you're not. Okay. And so this person calls us, and they're from Missouri, and they're in their 80s, and had a Social Security of about 1,800 and then a very small pension. And so what happened was, this is a pretty typical situation. This good grandma had let her daughter use her credit cards, her credit. Okay. And everything was going along fine until there was a problem with work for the daughter and her husband. And now they're no longer able to make the credit card payments. Well, the daughter and her husband aren't liable on the credit cards. Mom is. Okay. And mom's worried about that. And mom has some credit cards of her own that she'd like to keep that she's able to make payments on with no problem. So what happens? Well, if mom could stop making the payments on the credit cards that the daughter had run up. Now, the daughter didn't do anything wrong. The daughter used those cards. Mom knew that she was using those cards, and mom gave her authority to use those cards. But now the daughter can't pay them anymore. So mom doesn't need to pay those debts. Her income is Social Security and a little teeny pension. If one of these creditors were to sue her, they couldn't do anything to her. They couldn't take any money from her. Now, she has a home, okay, and she lives in Missouri. Missouri's got a pretty small homestead exemption, but as I explained earlier, many times it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors. If they were to sue you like a credit card, they're not going to go after your home, even if you have equity in the home over and above the homestead exemption. But in this particular case, mom had the home in a trust, and and the trust was controlled by someone else, and so no, there's not going to be any issue of the home, and so she could stop paying this other debt that her daughter had used. Now the question then is, what about the credit cards she wanted to keep? Is she going to have a problem with those? Well, we went over those, and those credit cards were backed by completely different banks that weren't the same banks that the credit cards that the daughter had been using. So she should keep those credit cards, those other ones. They didn't amount to a whole lot, and she's happy to keep making those payments. We explained there's a possibility they could lower the credit limit on those credit cards. They may not, but that does happen occasionally. Okay. Um, and we also talked about a couple other issues. Okay. Okay, so this person contacts us from Florida. Struggling with credit card debt and basic living needs. They were able to stretch things out until wasn't able to work anymore. Had been he'd been taking care of his spouse who's medically has some medical challenges. And they had some problems with their kids that they'd been helping out that helped drain their monies. And now they've been depending on credit cards to live, down to pennies at the end of the month, and cannot afford their needs. They found us on YouTube, which a lot of people do, okay? And they were current on the credit cards when they found us, but it was like I give the example, it was like they were digging a hole and digging it deeper. In other words, they were using the credit cards, and sometimes they'd use the credit cards to pay for the credit cards. So they were getting more and more in debt. The hole was getting deeper and deeper. And sometimes you find yourself so deep that you can't throw the dirt out. It starts crumbling in when you realize that there's no credit available to keep current on those credit cards. Now, you don't need to worry about it. You can call us, you can enroll in helps. You don't need to pay the credit cards. You're going to be fine. And you can use your credit, your Social Security, whatever income you have for your needs. And then I'll say this. It doesn't matter, what your situation is. If you want to talk to us, sometimes we'll talk with clients or prospective clients with a son or daughter on the line, or we're really patient here at Helps. A lot of times people will call us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they decide to enroll in Helps. We don't care. You can call us as often as you need to. When you call us, we're going to ask you some basic information. We're going to talk to you about, what your income is, where it comes from, how much it is, where you live, what state you live in, what your age is. Are you buying a car? Do you own a car? Are you buying a home? How much you owe on the home? What the home is worth? Things we need to know to be able to give you proper information. We're going to ask you if you've been sued. Do you owe any income taxes? Do you owe any student loans? And then we're going to ask you how much you owe in debt, credit cards, medical bills. We get an idea. And then we're going to read you a script on what we do that explains what Helps does. We protect you from creditors harassing you. And the way we enroll people over the phone, when you decide to enroll, all the only information we're going to need is your mailing address, last 4 digits of your Social Security number, a debit card name, number, and expiration date. The cost to enroll in Helps is minimal. Most a person would pay would be $40 for 24 months, then $20 for 24 months free thereafter. Some clients pay as little as $20 for 24 months, then $10 for 24 months and free thereafter. Depends on your household income. But remember, you don't have to pay the credit cards anymore when you enroll in Helps. And then you give us the credit cards. We need the name, address, and account number. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. Now, one of the things we're going to ask you is, do you have a credit card with a small balance or nothing is owed that you still want to keep, like this person I earlier explained? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to say, You can keep that credit card as long as it's not backed by a bank with whom you have another credit card you're not going to pay. So I think this person had it doesn't matter. They had a credit card with Chase, but they didn't have any other Chase cards that they owed money on that that the daughter had used. And so no reason why she wouldn't keep that Chase card. Okay, it had a lot of credit on it, but she only owed very little on it. You could keep that credit card. So if you have a credit card with a small balance, you can still keep that, or whatever balance it is that you want to feel comfortable paying. Okay. Now, that's different in bankruptcy. If you have a credit card that's free and clear, you got to list all your debt. And even if you have a bankruptcy, even if your credit card that's free and clear, you file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy law. Banks subscribe to a service, lets them know if someone filed bankruptcy, so they're going to shut that credit card off. Okay. So Miss H asked, when a person does work for a senior cutting grass and destroys the fence with a mower, can the senior put a lien on that person till they fix it back proper or by professional fence company? Well, I mean, you could sue them, get a judgment, which could become a lien on the property, but that's a long ways to go for that kind of thing. Um, I mean, I guess you could sue the person in small claims court. Might not be able to collect on it, but I mean, yeah. Sometimes the smaller problems are the bigger headaches. It's like a sliver can hurt more than a big cut. And, sometimes a sliver problem can be a headache. And there's not always a perfect solution. Um, when he knocks the fence down. See, there could be, he might say, well, I just bumped the fence. It was rotten and it fell over. It's not my fault that it fell over. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. People get into arguments. That's what you have courts for. So I don't have a magic answer for that one. But let's say you did sue him. Maybe you sued him in small claims court for doing this. I can't imagine that there's more on the lawn that he could destroy the fence. Might break it in a spot. Um, but it might cost more to file a small claims than it would be to fix the fence yourself. So then you could run into a problem. You soon file small claims, and how are you going to collect from the guy? So it can become a kind of a headache. Sunset says, my mower guy broke a window. I don't want to lose him, so I ignored it. Yeah, sometimes that's what you have to do. Okay. It's not a perfect world. Okay. Um, so here's something, a note that one of our staff put down about a prospective client that called us. It says, they said this person, they put their name, they put the name, time is she is slow speaking due to some condition, but she's not slow in understanding. She just needs time to get her words out, to ask and be answered. So be patient. That's what my staff wrote on the file, so that if we call her back and this person back, you're going to know that, so it doesn't matter if you've got a disability or something. We're going to be patient with you. That's what we do. It helps. We're here to help you, so you don't have to worry about this creditors anymore. Okay. So this person contacts us from Tennessee. Uh, they're married, but the debts are only in one of the spouses. We completed the intake. We read what we did, and they got enrolled in HELPS. He was with consumer. It's called consumer debt counseling, but canceled. It's only income is Social Security. It says the one spouse who enrolled is the only one with the deed on that is on the deed to the house. He has first and second mortgage. Uh, he's got more equity than the homestead. We explain why that wouldn't be a worry. He wants to put his son on the deed. We talked about that. And explained to him what his rights are. He owes money to a credit union. Probably will get sued by the credit union. So that's what we do. When you call us, we're going to go over your financial situation. We don't give legal advice. We give legal information. Explain to you why your income is protected, why you don't need to worry. So Kat asks, "Hi Eric, I'm your client. Postal Service says my certified letter is still making its way to Salem, Oregon. It's overdue, so I sent a third-party form, regular mail. Again, just to let you know. Yeah, we don't. You don't need to send us stuff by certified mail ever. And you can. What Kat is talking about is third-party information sheet. So what that means is when you enroll in helps, we enroll you over the phone. When you decide you want our help, a lot of our clients have been sued or they're being harassed unmercifully, and they're getting calls all the time. And so when we enroll someone, we like to keep you on the phone. I'll push a button, that button right there, and you're enrolled immediately. And you're going to get an email from us, and they're going to keep you on the line until you get that email, and it says "Welcome to Helps." Okay, and it's going to explain to you how, all our contact information, how to get us the creditors. All we need, you can text them, fax them, email them, or mail them. Okay, and then in the mail, you're going to get a week or two later, you're going to get um, some stuff in the mail too. And one of the things is a client authorization form. And we're going to ask you to send us proof of your Social Security, um, and then to sign this client information sheet. Now you can text or fax it to us or mail it back to us, however you want to get it back to us. We don't need the original. Okay. And the reason we need that is if a creditor calls us, sometimes they want proof that we're authorized to represent you. And so we like to have that third party information that we can send to them. It's not mandatory. We like to have it. We don't need it all that often, but often enough that it's nice to have it there. That way, if a creditor says, well, how do we know that we should not contact this person anymore? How do we know that you represent this person helps? We have that form that's signed by you that we're going to send to them. Okay? So I thought I'd show you this. It's a good time to show you that. Okay. This is on I type it in sometimes. This was in April of this year. And I pull my hair out when I see things like this. Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay, here we go. It's called Credit Card Debt Forgiveness Move Seniors Should Make This April. as though there is a program in place to get your credit cards forgiven by doing something. Huh. So this was on a CBS News article, Money Watch, Managing Your Money, by this Matt Richardson and edited by Angela Light, April 7th, 2025. So CBS News, it must be accurate, right? It's CBS News. Let me be clear. There's no such thing as an automatic credit card debt forgiveness program. There's no such thing. But let's see what this stupid article says. Um, with credit card debt around 1.2 trillion, they talk about this is a fight that's important to win for millions of Americans right now, but it's particularly important for seniors. And then it talks about credit card debt forgiveness. Be realistic about your debt. In extreme cases, bankruptcy may offer a cleaner and clearer path toward eliminating your debt. The vast majority of seniors don't need to worry about bankruptcy. Understand the specific qualifications. Seniors won't just be able to get credit card debt forgiven easily, even if that would be preferable in the economic climate. Credit card debt forgiveness qualifications will still need to be met. This means a minimum of 5 to 10,000 worth of debt. Beware of the timeline. Blah blah blah. It can still be worthwhile pursuing while others may be better served by exploring debt management programs. So here's the strategy. So let me click on a button here and see what happens. Start by checking your credit card debt forgiveness eligibility here. So that's where they sucker you in. I'm clicking on that. What do we get here? We get a list of these debt management companies. Freedom Debt Relief, Accredited Debt Relief, National Debt Relief, AmeriCorps, Clear One, Freedom Debt Relief. Bottom line is, these are debt management companies. Okay. There's no automatic program to get your debt relieved. These are ones where you enroll in these programs, you pay them money, and you pay them money, and you pay them so much. But the problem is, with rare exception, when you call any one of these companies that are on this list that this article leads you to, they're not going to tell a senior, by the way, your income is protected. You don't need to pay this debt. No one can touch your Social Security. No one can touch. No, they're not going to tell you that. Instead, they're going to try to enroll you, and they're going to put some seniors into utter poverty, making a payment they can't afford. So that's the whole scam that's out there in this debt management arena. Is they withhold information from seniors and don't tell them that their income is protected. Instead, they try to get them to enroll in their program. Now, I don't mind senior paying their debt, but if they're going to advertise they're going to help you, they need to give you the complete truth. And part of that complete truth is that your Social Security, your pension, your disability, your VA benefit is protected by federal and state laws. And if you can't afford to pay your debt, you don't need to pay it, and there's a means for you to be protected from collector harassment. Instead, they leave that information out. Instead, they direct you to try to pay your debt through one of these companies who paid them money for this article to be on this list. And the reason, if I sound upset, I am, because I talk to too many seniors that they end up paying a lot of money every month to these companies and never told the complete truth. And some of them go without medicine, they go without food, they go without heat to pay debt, and they're not told the complete truth. So question, should a child needs to be on a phone when a parent signs them up with helps? They only get Social Security, need help with life and needs. Uh, Yeah, so let's say you've got a son or daughter that's on Social Security disability. If you and you're the parent, and the child has a debt issue, uh, do we need to talk with the child and you together? Well, if you have power of attorney, no, we don't. But even if you have power of attorney or don't have power of attorney, and the child's worried about it, it's always a good idea to have the person who owes the debt on the phone with us. Not always, but most of the time. Especially if they're worried about it, then we're going to answer their question and explain to them why they don't need to worry. So it's kind of up to you. Uh, but and the same thing goes if you're a child and if you're the son or daughter and talking about mom or dad's issue, um, it's kind of nice to have mom or dad on the phone at least at some point so we can explain to them what we've explained to the child, why mom and dad's income is protected. They don't need to worry. Now, in some cases, mom and dad, they're really not involved at all. So it just depends on the situation. Okay, let's see what we got going here. This person contacts us and they say that they're 74, living alone on Social Security. It's a little more than $1,000 a month. I'm on Section 8. Well, what's Section 8? That is subsidized housing. Okay, we talk to seniors all the time about that. Housing is normally your biggest expense, and you can apply for or get enrolled if you're lower or modest income on Section 8 housing. There's usually a waiting period. Sometimes you can get moved up in the waiting period. In some parts of the country, you can get on Section 8 faster than others. You don't have to apply just for where you live. So, and usually you pay maybe a quarter to a third of your income for your rent, and then the government picks up the rest. Okay. So they're on Section 8. It says I pay everything with my debit card, but I want to try to build up my credit score again. So I applied to my bank, which I've had for over 30 years, never bouncing one check or any late fee using my debit card. And I got denied credit. I tried to get an Amazon card, but also got denied. How does one in my situation start to build up credit when you get denied? Uh, I've been with Amazon for many years. I pay my bills on time and I get no help from anyone, including family. They talk about their needs. If you're on Section 8 and have a low credit score, could that affect your chance of being denied and finding another place? Probably not. No. I'm angry with my bank right now. I'm going to open up a savings account with a credit union for low income and apply for a credit card there. Eventually, I will uh, transfer my direct deposit, and leave my bank. Okay, so here's the deal. When I started Helps in 2012, most of our, a lot of clients, seniors had really low income, and they weren't worried about rebuilding their credit. In this case, the person's only got $1,000. There's not a whole lot of money with which to afford to pay credit, but I understand that some seniors want to rebuild their credit, and so we started a program with seven steps with 720 credit score several years ago. It's called 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score. It's free for our clients. You can rebuild your credit, no matter what your income is. It might take a year and a half to 2 years. Your credit is based on your recent credit history, so you can have debt that goes bad and it's old. It gets written off, and you can start to rebuild your credit. Okay. Um, After you've been part of Helps for 90 days, contact us. We'll send you an email. You can subscribe to that program. There's like 6 classes. You do them on do them yourself, and you can work to rebuild your credit. Okay? So you can get your credit back. Just a note from Kathy says, I contacted SBA about my loan when I lost my home in a hurricane and having troubles making payment due to a lot of medical issues. They were very nice and reduced my payment. Good for them. So what Kathy's talking about is if you owe debt to I'm not talking about taxes or student loans. I'm talking about if you owe debt to the federal government for some other agency like the SBA, that's Small Business Administration, Rural Development Commission, those kind of agencies, um, even the VA, Veterans Administration. It's theoretically possible for them to do an offset of 15% of your Social Security for an old debt, no matter how old the debt it is. Okay. And whereas if you owe money to the IRS, you can get on currently not collectible status if you're lower or modest income. With an SBA loan, one of these other federal loans, federal debts, they can actually offset 15% of your Social Security. And so I'm glad to hear that SBA is letting people with lower income trying to lower their payment. The law needs to be changed in this area. Okay. So Donna says, how do I stop all the emails and text messages from debt collectors? Well, that's what Helps is here for, Donald. When you enroll in Helps, we're part of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act passed in 1978. Year I graduated from law school, provides that if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call or send you demand letters anymore. And that's what Helps does. When people enroll in Helps, they give us the creditors they owe money to. We send out what's called a cease and desist letter, and they have to communicate with us, not you. They have to leave you alone. Okay. Now, when you enroll in Helps, you give us the creditors. We need the name, address, and account number. We're going to send them a letter out within 24 to 48 hours. And it usually takes them a week, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks for them to finally get our letter, to process it, and stop the communication. In the meantime, if they were ever to get through to you on the phone, you don't have to talk to them, but if they ever got through to you, you tell them you're represented by Helps Law Firm, you give them our name and number, and you hang up the phone. So the whole purpose of Helps is you don't have to deal with these guys anymore, Donald. You don't have to talk to them. Now, as far as their emails and text messages, yeah, they can be blocked. Okay. Now, if it's an original creditor, in most states, they can still communicate with you. When they get a letter from us, they're going to stop calling you, but they may still email you or text you about the bill or send you a copy of the bill. Or they may want to, they can do that legally. You don't need to open their email. You can block it. But a debt collector legally cannot email you or text you anymore once you're represented by Helps. Okay? No, Katrina, you don't have to pay a monthly fee for Evergreen Financial unless they have some side programs they have to try to rebuild your credit faster that they charge a little fee for. But you don't. That's not required. Okay. Once again, I need to get Phil Tyrone on this program. We're going to go over this with him. Keep bugging me about that. Okay. Um, okay. A lot of questions here. So get down to Joe here. He says, SBA garnished me for 15%. The loan was discharged 20 years ago. I called Eric. He helped me get them to stop. I don't know how I did that. Sometimes I'll tell people the only way to get them to stop is to file bankruptcy. You can stop it. You can stop other agency debt by filing bankruptcy. Yeah, I need to talk with Phil, Katrina. Yeah, you can rebuild your credit. It's based on your recent credit history. Oh, Joe says it was discharged in Chapter 7. Yeah, yeah. So I probably told you, I said, you can get rid of that debt by filing a bankruptcy. That's one way you can get rid of it and stop the 15% garnishment. Hopefully, we can get Congress to change the law. It should be the same law for these other agency debts as it is for IRS taxes. If your income is low enough, you can get on a what's called currently not collectible, where they can't collect from you. So this person contacts us from Alabama. To whom it may concern. I'm 72 years old on Social Security, my only income. I'm alone and have no children to help. They say they have attention deficit disorder, so reading legal or important papers is sometimes hard for me. With prices of things getting to be the way they are, my credit card debt is getting to be a problem. My house is older and things need to be done. So if anything happens, I can't pay for it. The percentage on the cards are way too much because I've had to declare uh, I had to declare bankruptcy in the past. I could really use your help. Well, you're 72. You're on Social Security. You don't need to pay the debt. They're not going to take your home. We'll go over this with you, explaining why you're going to be okay. And the nice thing about Helps is designed so you could always call us on the phone if you ever had a question. So this person say, I've got attention deficit disorder. In other words, they forget things or they get distracted. Um, A lot of our clients forget things or they're distracted, and we don't mind them calling us more than one time. We don't turn people away. You can call us as much as you need to. Okay? And I guarantee you, after call us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 12 times, it's going to get through and you're going to realize you're going to be okay. So this person contacts us from Wyoming. I heard about your firm on YouTube. I'm hoping you can help me out with a serious problem here. A creditor is trying to sue me right now. I've been served with a summons and I went to court about that. There's another meeting scheduled for August. I'm a disabled senior and only receive disability. I really don't have anything for them to collect. Please advise. Yeah, so if you're on Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefits, you owe the debt, you get sued. You don't need to go to court. Don't need to do anything. They just eventually, if you go to court, you're going to lose. Uh, so if you don't go to court, they're going to get a default judgment. You're going to get a judgment. Okay. Uh, but do you need to worry about that? No. If they were to garnish if first off, if they get a judgment, they could theoretically garnish your bank account. But as long as you keep the balance in your bank account less than twice the amount of federal benefits like Social Security gets each month, that sum is going to be protected by your bank, regardless of what other monies are in there or where they came from. So if you got $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 in your bank account is protected. So a lot of times these court papers, when you get sued, make it seem like you need to go to court. But if you read it carefully, that's only if you're going to contest the lawsuit. If you're not going to contest it, you don't need to go to court. Don't need to worry. Okay. Okay. So if you have a question, don't be bashful about typing it in there. I can spot the questions amongst the other ones communicating. Okay. So that guy from Wyoming is going to be fine. Doesn't need to go to court. This person contacts us, says, I'm 71 years old. I don't have a job. I don't get Social Security. I have no income. I have 4 credit cards, but can't afford to pay it. What happens if I don't pay my credit card bill? Well, I don't know how you're supporting yourself. Maybe you're not getting Social Security. Maybe you're getting some other type of federal benefit or retirement of some form. If you have other form of retirement, it's protected under the ERISA, Employment Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, or it's protected under some state law. Your retirement income is protected. Yeah. What happens if I don't pay my credit card bill? Well, they're going to bother you. They could sue you if they got a judgment they couldn't collect from you. You don't need to worry. And if you don't want to be bothered by creditors, the contact helps. That's what we do. Sorry. Excuse me. This person asks a question that I've never been asked before. What age? Just kidding. What age are you considered a senior? Well, the things we talk about today have nothing to do with your age. It's just based on your source of income. So even though HELP stands for Help Eliminate Legal Problems for Seniors, the only reason that we add seniors on there is because the vast majority of our clients are seniors. But it depends on where you get your income. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're getting Social Security, it's protected. Same thing with a pension. You might be getting your pension in your 50s or disability income. It's protected. Okay? So you don't have to be a certain age to enroll with HELPS. So this person contacts us from Michigan. I'm 69-year-old senior and I have medical issues for the past 4 years. And I was not working, only part-time on and off. So unfortunately, I racked up credit card debt. I draw Social Security and work part-time doing some driving. With all the medical bills and regular insurance payments, health, car, phone, housing, and food, I don't have the extra funds to pay all my credit card bills. And now a processor came to my house to serve me with a summons, but I was not home. If I had the money, I would file for bankruptcy, but I don't. So see if you can help me out. Sure. He draws Social Security and he works part-time. Okay. So what about if he's being sued? No one can take his Social Security. What about money from his job? Extremely doubtful. I'll explain why. Okay, there's a federal law that protects $217.50 net per week in wages in every state of the union. So you can make $435 every 2 weeks, $217.50 net. That's after taxes. About $950 a month. That's protected from garnishment. Okay, from your employer. Now, if you're self-employed, then it's going to be really difficult for someone to try to garnish it. The first thing, they'd have to sue you, get a judgment, and know where you work. There's no way they're going to find out where you work. So chance of this guy having a problem with his part-time driving job is about as close to zero as you can get. I can't remember a lot. We just don't have clients getting garnished. Now, if you had a full-time job making a whole lot of money and you've been there for a long time, then sure. But we don't have very few clients that are in that position that are getting Social Security and are working still full-time. And then some states don't even allow garnishment. Texas is the most famous one. And then some states protect a lot more than that $217.50 net I talked about. California is usually around $600 a week or more. I mean, there's a lot of states that protect a lot more than the $217.50 net, which is the amount that the federal government protects automatically. So when he says, can you help me out? The answer is going to be yeah. and we can help you out if you're having these problems. You always call us, 855-435-7787. You can call us as many times as you need to. We'll go over this with you. So this person, I got the yawns today, sorry. This person contacts us from Florida. I received a summons to court from a charged off credit card from, it looks like First National Bank of Omaha, Nebraska. It's from LVNV Funding Collection Agency. So they got sued by a collection agency for an old credit card debt. I tried to send a response to the address on the summons in Tampa, Florida, and it was undeliverable. Said unknown address. I went to the court, stated it was not my debt. So you don't file an answer with the creditor sued you file it with the court. But they say I went to the court and it was not my debt. And they've got, looks like they have a Zoom mediation. Looks like it was today. And the person's saying that this wasn't their credit card. There's a different number on there. They had paid this debt off. I have a copy of signed. So they're going to go to court. You could, if you have a basis to dispute a debt, you don't know it like this person does. You could dispute the debt. I'm not discouraging you from doing that. But he ends. He says, "I'm a senior on 72 years old. My Social Security is $2,200 a month. How could I talk to them on mediation Monday?" Well, you could talk to them and show them where it isn't your debt. Have them prove that it's your debt. But let's say you didn't even want to go to mediation and you were scared and didn't want to do anything. You did nothing and they got a judgment they couldn't collect from you. $2,200 times two, $4,400 in your bank account is protected automatically. You could just ignore. They could get a judgment and not do anything to you. But if you're able to defend yourself and you don't really owe the debt, then I'd encourage you to do that. Now, we don't help people do that. There's plenty of websites that do. But no, you can go into court and defend yourself from a lawsuit if you want to do that. So this person contacts us. They say, my only income is Social Security. I enrolled in a debt consolidation program. I pay them every month and they allocate the funds to my credit cards debt. I also pay them a $75 administration fee each month. Can I pay the creditors on my own? Yeah. What if I can't afford to pay them? You don't need to. Your only income is Social Security. Question I'd ask you is when you enrolled with this debt consolidation program, did they tell you, by the way, you really don't need our help. Your income is protected. Your only income is Social Security. These creditors can't do anything. You know what he's going to tell me if I ask him that? No, Eric, they never told me that. Why didn't they tell you that? If they would have told you that, you wouldn't have enrolled with them, and you wouldn't be sending them their $75 a month administration fee, which amounts to almost $1,000 a year. No. Instead, they sign you up, not giving you complete information. That's what they virtually all, with few exceptions, that's what they do. Oh, sad. We've just got a few minutes. Time flies. So this person contacts us from Texas. I filed for disability in July of 2022. I received a partially favorable decision in November of 2024. My onset date was adjusted to June of 2023 as a result of having no income and now just Social Security disability. I am dealing with multiple creditors and debt buyers. I live in Texas, but have multiple lawsuits filed against me. Do you take cases such as mine? Oh, yeah, we do. That's what we do. That's the perfect kind of case we take. You got lots of debt. You're being bothered by creditors. Your income is Social Security. You're going to enroll with our program. You're going to give us the creditors you owe money to. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter, and they're simply going to leave you alone. Okay? And you're going to call us as often as you need to so we can deal with the creditors. So this person calls us from Oregon. It says, "Hi, I'm a disabled person on Social Security disability. I'm going through a divorce and I'm waiting for it to be finalized. I'm living on a relative's RV home, motorhome. They're not charging me anything, but I have to pay from space rent. I have a lot of credit card debt, which I cannot afford to pay. I was able to pay it when we were married and had dual income. I was never late on credit cards. I'm hoping that I can get help to keep debt collectors off my bank so I can focus on the next chapter of my life. Thank you. Hope to hear from your organization." Sure. People get into debt for a lot of reasons. They find they can't pay it. Like this person, they're divorced and the one spouse's income went away, so they can't pay the debt anymore. Maybe if you pass away, if one of the spouses pass away, then the higher of the two you get the higher of the two Social Securities, the lesser Social Security goes away, and maybe that makes it so you can't pay the debt. Or you lose a job. There could be a lot of reasons. It doesn't matter. But yeah, this is the kind of person we're going to be able to help. Okay. So here's another one from Oregon. It says, "Hello, my husband and I would like to see if we're eligible for help services. We're in debt with credit cards, repossessed vehicles. My husband is a veteran. He receives Social Security disability and VA income. He's 100% disabled. I do not have any income. I'm his wife. I'm disabled, but don't receive Social Security yet. My husband is younger. He's 48. He's in his, so that's a perfect example. You don't have to be a senior to enroll in helps. All you have to have is protected income, like Social Security disability, or in this case, VA disability. We can help this guy if he owes debt. Doesn't need to file bankruptcy. He's going to give us his creditors he owed money to. We're going to send him a cease and desist letter. They're going to leave you alone. Okay? So it looks like we've pretty much come to the end of the day on Monday. We got a whole Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to go. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your good questions. Please press the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And if you have any other questions, you can put them, you can call us on the phone. You can put comments on the comment. We'll try to look at the comments. But don't want you to worry. You're going to be fine. So everyone have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. God bless.